We are 2 months through 2016 and already there's been many great games. In this video, we'll take a look at the top 10 best games of 2016 so far as of March 6th. Keep in mind that we only cover console and PC games, so no handheld games will be mentioned. Sorry, Fire Emblem. With that being said, let's get right into this. Number 10, Oxenfree. The debut title for developers Night School Studio, Oxenfree is a story-driven adventure game. The game is set on an abandoned island. A group of teenagers visited for a party, and suddenly things go awry, supernatural beings are introduced, and I won't get more into it because the plot is one of the key elements of the game. Oxenfree does a great job portraying a group of teenagers acting the way that they should act. The characters are all believable, relatable, and well developed. The writing and dialogue is excellent, and for those that want to be immersed into a story of a game, Oxenfree will be right up your alley. Number 9, Gravity Rush Remastered. The initial wave of PlayStation Vita games following its launch was very good. One of those games was Gravity Rush, and back in February, the game saw a remastered release on the PlayStation 4. Now running at 1080p and 60 frames per second, updated textures, and including all of the additional DLC, Gravity Rush Remastered is by far the optimal version of the game. In Gravity Rush, you play as Kat, a girl that can manipulate gravity and use it to float, walk on walls, and use it in her combat. Kat is a very well-developed and likable character, and she keeps the story very engaging. The original Vita version did have some issues with its controls, and while the PlayStation 4 version isn't perfect, the game does feel very natural on the DualShock 4. Added to the fact that the game is only $30, if you've never played Gravity Rush, this is well worth your money. Number 8, Unravel. Unravel is one of the most unique games ever put out by EA. The game is a puzzle platformer where you play as Yarny, a creature made of yarn. You use the yarn that makes up his body to solve puzzles and traverse obstacles. There are some imperfections with Unravel. The controls are iffy and the game does get a bit repetitive. However, the game still shines through with fantastic visuals, a great art direction, a terrific soundtrack, and a strong protagonist. Everyone is always clamoring for big publishers to put out new and innovative games. Well, credit where credit is due for EA getting behind a game such as Unravel. Number 7, Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. Anime video games are typically not the best games ever. Whether it be the One Piece games or the Dragon Ball Z games, they are usually inconsistent in terms of quality. But that's not really the case with the Naruto Storm series. All of the games have been rather great, and Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 is no different, this time featuring the largest roster in any of the games with characters spanning across the entire series. From Naruto to Shippuden to the last, they got nearly everyone in the game. The single player mode still has some of the most jaw-dropping battles ever, and the online play is good when it works. Sure, Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 might not be as technical as games like Street Fighter, but as more of a casual fighter, it's great. Number 6, Firewatch. Firewatch is another very story-driven game. It's a first-person adventure developed by Campo Santo. The game takes place in the Wyoming wilderness in 1989. You play as Henry, a fire lookout who is assigned to his own tower. The only communication you have is through your walkie-talkie connecting him to his supervisor, Delilah. The interactions between Henry and Delilah are some of the best parts of the game, and the choices you make throughout the game influence your relationship with her. The game also has a gorgeous watercolor look that makes the world look very vibrant and colorful. The game is fairly short, and unfortunately the ending leaves a lot to be desired, but for the most part, Firewatch is a hell of a game.
Don't pull any more shit or you're fucked, alright?
Don't threaten us!
Yeah, who the hell are you, creep?
Oh, he's just one of those lonely guys who likes to boss people around.
Number 5, Stardew Valley. If you enjoyed games like Harvest Moon or Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley will be the game for you. This is a game I don't think many people saw coming, but what a game it is. There's so much to do in Stardew Valley, from farming, fishing, mining, social interactions. It's all varied and well designed. Even the main story is rewarding to play through, and while the graphics aren't anything amazing in the traditional sense, if you can get past the old school look, Stardew Valley is actually a great game to look at with a variety of different environments and locations. Best of all, this is a game that pretty much any PC can run, so you really have no excuse to not give this game a shot. Number 4, The Witness. The Witness is a 3D puzzle game developed by Tekla Inc., who are headed by Jonathan Blow. You may have heard of that name before, as he was responsible for one of the best indie games of all time in Braid. The Witness is a very well-designed puzzle game with a brilliantly crafted world. The game has a very steep learning curve and some of the puzzles are quite difficult, but I never found myself too frustrated, which is key when playing a game like this. Completing puzzles is also very rewarding. I would also highly recommend you to play this game blind. Don't look up walkthroughs because that defeats the purpose of the game. One downer about The Witness is that it does have a relatively high price tag of $40, but for fans of puzzle games, it's well worth it.
Through the
Number 3, Far Cry Primal. Far Cry is a franchise that has been very consistent, almost a little too much. Far Cry 3 was a great game, and while Far Cry 4 followed suit, it just felt like it was too much more of the same. That's where Far Cry Primal comes in. Now the game takes place in the Stone Age, gone is the traditional gunplay, vehicles, and so on. Now while that might make you think that Primal is an entirely new game, it isn't. It still has the same world design, movement, and style as the previous games, but the game is a fresh coat of paint on the Far Cry series while still keeping the general formula similar, and that makes for a very good game. If you've been a fan of Far Cry, Primal will be worth your time. Number 2, Black Desert Online. MMORPGs have been a mainstay on PC for over a decade now, but recently the market's gotten a bit mundane. But with the release of Black Desert Online, this is injecting some much needed life into the genre. This game is one of the best looking MMOs ever. The art direction is amazing, there's so much detail in every little bit of the world, and it's almost jarring. Not to mention the ridiculous amount of character customization that's in the game. Detail is top notch in BDO. The combat is varied, it kept the formula of the game ever evolving, which is nice. Whether you've been playing MMOs for a long time or you want to get into the genre, Black Desert Online is an easy recommendation. Finally, number 1, XCOM 2. Firaxis Games knocked it out of the park with XCOM Enemy Unknown, so when news came out that they were developing the sequel as a PC exclusive, most figured it would be an exceptional game, and it was, offering a variety of different experiences depending on what you want from the game. Based on the different difficulty settings, I recommend playing the game at a higher difficulty, making the tension much higher. But those that are newer to the game might want to start off with something easier. Mods are supported right out of the gate, and they can be shared through the Steam Workshop. The campaign itself is challenging, addictive, and well written in terms of its plot. It's a great single player mode, and even if you aren't the biggest fan of tactical games, I still recommend giving XCOM 2 a shot. It does a good job easing newer players into the game while also giving more of a gritty experience to longtime fans. The one downside is that XCOM 2 did initially have some performance issues even on the best PCs, but at this point that has been largely fixed. And with that, I can give XCOM 2 a high recommendation.
Got him!
So that wraps up our countdown of the top 10 games of 2016 so far. What do you think? Have you picked any of these games up? Did we miss any games? Let us know in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.